after that series, they don't deserve a fund.
All right, let's rock and roll, gang.
What's that?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ulster County IDA meeting. It's October 19th, and I'd like to call our meeting to order at 9 o'clock. We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Lynn. Here. Mike.
Here.
Steve. Kelly is absent with notice. Rashida. Here. Rachel. Here. Asu.
Here.
Diane. I'm here. Thank you. All right, the mission of the Ulster County IDA. The mission of the Ulster County Industrial Development Agency is to advance the job opportunities, general prosperity, and long-term economic vitality of Ulster County residents by targeting tax incentives, bonding, and other assistance to foster creation and attraction of new business and the retention and expansion of existing business. Bless you. Right, call your attention to page 3 in your meeting packet, and I'd like to take a few moments and review the minutes from our September 21st meeting. And when someone is ready, I'd like a motion to approve the minutes.
Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the previous minutes.
Thank you, Mike. Second? Second. Thank you. Rashida, second. And all in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Before I begin, just want to welcome and say good morning to Tim. He was here with us this morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Tim. Good morning.
At this time, any public comment on agenda items only? Great. All right. At this point, I'd like to go into executive session. Joe, if you could kind of tee this up for us for what executive session is for.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. My suggestion is that we go into executive, it's actually exempt session to be accurate, to get the advice of counsel on a legal matter involving the IPA.
Thank you. We need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion.
Second, Lynn, thanks. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We'll go into executive sessions.
Since exempt matter would necessarily call for an explanation of what case is it?
It's actually not a case. It's not a case. They want legal advice on an issue that's confronted the IPA. So it doesn't fit within any.
It's not a filed case.
It's not a filed case, and it's not under the executive session exception. So
It's not a filed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was misspoken in saying it was
Now
executive.
he got it. Now you asked for it again. He got it. Perfect.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We're back out of executive session at 9:36. Can I have a motion to come out of executive session? So moved. Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And no action was taken during executive session. All right. Moving on to committee report. Oh, I'm sorry. Chair report. I think the summary of my report would be that we continue to work closely with our staff. Amber, thank you for all that good work again. Another month of great work. Really trying to put all of our pieces together and get everything up and running at 100+%, which we're very close to doing. And I want to thank everybody for all their efforts to do that. So really, that's all I have to report. I mean, there's been some meetings here and there about potential projects, but nothing, to really report on at this point. But we'll keep folks obviously posted on that. With that, I'd like to move into the financials, accounting, and administrative update, and Amber's going to do that update for us.
Okay, since the last regular meeting, the website has come up and is fully functioning. All of the IDA email addresses are up and running. I spoke to a number of board members who were able to confirm that their emails were functioning. I'm monitoring the other agency email addresses. 4 members have successfully completed the required director training. 1 member was confirmed to have already completed the requirement, and the remaining members are already scheduled to complete the training on November 4th. The credit card application is complete, so that will be, hopefully wrapped up very quickly. The agency's cybersecurity insurance is renewed for another year. I've reached out to OSC to request access to the Paris login. Once I have this access, I'll be able to go in, update the contact list, which is currently outdated. There's only 1 contact on the list that's with the authority, so that needs to be updated, and I'll be able to lock any old accounts and upload the budget information once that's adopted. The telephone number is still an outstanding issue. I've started an online, I'm moving through things like very quickly, I'm sorry. I've started an online QuickBooks account for both of the authorities and brought them largely up to date, reconciled most of the bank accounts. The only bank account that's not reconciled through September 30th are the CDs with Rhinebeck savings, because we still need to work through some online access issues with them. I expect to be able to provide financial statements to you at the next regular meeting. The focus between now and then, getting them up to date, is going to be confirming the revenues, reconciling the escrow accounts, and just reviewing all of those outstanding receivables, liabilities, and the expenses that were input before me. I reach out to the external auditors, so once I get a call back from them, I'll discuss the timeline for next year's audit, and I'd like to recommend that the board consider adopting a related party agreement between the IDA and the CRC. So what that would do is just kind of clean up the accounting for routine and regular payments between the 2 agencies, where all of the administrative staff and the supplies and things are very much shared. The insurance, the website, there's a lot of intercorrelated costs associated, and there's no way right now for the CRC to kind of adequately reimburse the IDA for those expenses. So that's something to consider memorializing.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I have no problem.
Yeah.
That's
Sounds like
actually a good idea.
Yeah, it sounds like a very prudent thing to do, so thank you for suggesting that.
Thank you. That's it for now.
Thank you. Any questions that were administratively, or? One of the things I appreciate is, as Amber's going through this and putting all the financials, she's also looking at our policies and just understanding how we might be able to tighten up policies, or our policies are just fine. So I appreciate, looking at our policies in relation to, putting our books together and making sure everything is sound and have good practice going on. So I appreciate that. Yeah.
So her current recommendation, does that need to be put into a policy format?
We need to push it through governance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're fine. Yeah. Thank you. All right, move to committee reports. If we go to page 8 of your meeting packet, low-key grow report, there's not much to report here for the month of September reporting. There was no work is happening on the site at this point, so there's nothing to report. And then with Romeo Enterprises, they had 138 workers were reported. Of the 100, there was 192 were compliant and 9 were non-compliant. So their compliance average is at 91%. So that completes the audit reports. I'll move it now over to finance, and what we'll be discussing under the finance, as you see, is a draft, a reinforced draft, proposed budget for fiscal year 2023. And I've asked Amber to kind of walk us through the budget. While this is a draft, I think that we can review this and discuss and agree, or not agree, that this is a good draft. Understanding that as we move closer towards the end of the year, we have to make revisions to this budget. But we are required to have a budget reported by October 31st. So I just want to frame our discussion within the context of that. So Amber, if you want to walk us through what we have here.
Here, the revenues are held constant from what was predicted from last year. For expenses, these take into consideration what the governance committee has been working on with regards to the development of some employee positions, maintaining this hybrid, a hybrid workforce with some of the services like accounting, legal obviously, and audiovisual being contractual. The next page actually has the breakdown of what those positions are and what the values assigned to each of the individual expenses would be or is for the purpose of discussion here. One thing that's not included here is any reimbursement from the CRC for these expenditures. Later in the CRC's meeting, that you'll see that budget takes into account a 5% charge of these expenses. So depending on what the board may or may want to consider, we could potentially reduce these or offset with a revenue for the CRC's coverage. Since it's a related party, I would probably reduce the expenses. And then, let's see, the employee benefits portions are equal to what Ulster County is estimating for their benefits for the 2023 budget.
We have you all a few minutes to review before we have a discussion. Thank you.
One other thing to note is that I added a record storage fee in case that ends up being a service that can be outsourced. And I have reached out to Iron Mountain to ask for a quote. So that's an open item. I don't have any information on what the cost of that would be at this point.
Yes, ma'am.
Iron Mountain also will take the boxes and won't they scan everything and put it online? So that would be part of this budget as well. So we would have everything automated.
Yeah, it's at one point there's 38 boxes. A lot of this has to be digitized.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I'm good with this as a draft.
Yeah.
I think it's really a working draft, right? So if you have any questions, we can discuss those a bit on this one. Or we can talk other ways too, but I think we have assumptions. It's like there's nothing that stands out right now, so.
No, I think it's a good budget.
Yeah.
And if the back of the envelope, given where the fact that we're still in transition, making some decisions, but making some of the assumptions, I think it looks good.
You're also begging me to Ulster County, so.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
And I think in general too, in terms of revenue in, we're being very conservative. We approved the Presco project, but that still has not begun for next year. But again, we just wanted to be conservative in estimation of revenue, very realistic and on the expense side. And but the revenue sources and the expense line items, are basically what we would expenses and revenue we would incur. So I think it's a great, strong draft, and we'll make adjustments as needed. But for the purpose of submitting by the end of this month, I think it's solid. Unless anyone has any questions or concerns about it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the one thing I was considering is the communications consultant and what not matters.
And again, Frank,
I was going to ask, is that regarding that? Yeah. City,
for marketing,
no, for communication services.
I think that where we are right now with Jeanette is that we have a communication strategy. That was the next step from his organization. And then the working group will be reviewing, making recommendations to the board, and then we decide what of that strategy, maybe all of it, maybe part of it, that we want to actually operationalize. And then what we would do is have to understand what the associated costs would be, in rolling out these things. And I think that's where we would do a revision to the budget and our marketing continue to.
And or assign, I also did, and or assign to one of the roles that we're trying to create organization. There could be elements of that could be added as onto a job description.
No, exactly, that's why I asked if it was
Yeah,
regarding job
I think it, we don't have all the answers yet.
No, that's right.
Yeah, but certainly I think some of that we would have to use vendors and outsource that.
Marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. So do we have to make a motion on this?
Yes, I do. So Mike, you good? Any questions?
No, not yet. Once I start reading into it, I'll have plenty.
Well, I make a motion, we accept this for the purposes of submission.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you, Amber. Great. Chair Ham, it's all yours. Governance.
So the governance meeting, we had the last meeting. Jay, I apologize, on September 15th. We tried to squeeze one in here on Monday, and due to some scheduling conflicts, I was not available. We had to cancel the meeting. But, I want to open up with the revolving door policy. Joe's worked on the resolution. So, Joe, I want to refer to you and let you go through the resolution, if you would, please.
Will do, Michael, thank you. So the resolution is page 11 of your materials. It follows the format that we used with prior resolutions, where we consider and adopt either an amendment to your policies or a new policy. So there's nothing particularly noteworthy in the resolution form itself. It does refer to the revolving door policy, obviously, and the revolving door policy, the current draft is attached to the end of the resolution. So the operative provisions of the resolution are that it approves the policy, directs staff and council to put it in the appropriate spot in our policy book and on the website, and then in effect completing the task of considering the policy itself. One interesting informational note for you all, perhaps, is that the state is considering legislation that would essentially do the same thing. The context is odd. The context is the Orange County crisis / situation, which really wasn't a revolving door issue. It was a conflict issue. So, but again, there is precedent for this type of activity in the federal government and the state government. With that, I'll open up any comments or questions.
No comments, no questions? We need a motion, right, Joe?
Yes.
We need a motion to accept the resolution.
So moved.
No.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Lynn. We have to do a roll call on this.
Yeah, we have to do a roll call vote.
Yep.
Are we accepting or approving?
We're accepting.
We're accepting.
We're not approving, we're not adopting.
We're adopting. I apologize.
All right, Lynn?
Yes.
Steve? Kelly is absent with notice. Mike?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Rashida?
Yes.
Kastu?
Yes.
Diane? Yes.
Resolution carried 5-0. Okay, so, Joe, good work on that. So moving over to the organizational design plan. You know, in governance, Kastu and Lynn, you know, and governance have been working very hard on this. They did a great job. And before, Joe, I send it back over to you about the resolution, I just want to give Lynn and Kastu a chance to speak about the organizational and what great work you did. You know, hey, don't be afraid to pat yourself on the back. You did a great job.
Thank you. Well, then do you want to start?
Yeah, I think that what I like about this is that it provides structure and support for the agency and the board, regardless of transitional changes to the board. Every 2 years, it goes before the legislature. The legislature is the economic development committee decides, do they want to continue, do they want to change out, they redo interviews. So the board could change. By putting a structure, even a hybrid structure, which we're still kind of evolving through, it allows some continuity regardless of the board member changes. And I think this provides a level of ongoing community support for what the IDA is doing, ensuring that projects don't fall through the crack, ensuring relationships are established with all the partners, regardless of the board. And then there's a support system for when new board members come on board, which will happen, that there is continuity and somebody who has the historical institutional knowledge to bring everybody along. So from that perspective, I think it is just sound, good business to do this in support of this board and the work that they do. We do.
Yeah, I agree with everything Lynn just said. It's a great safety net and an overlap policy. So, you know, as board members change, at least that will be continuing through. So it was great work. I have one last question, Joe, before you go through the resolution. So in there, I know we spoke about it before, but our current bylaws say CEO.
Mm-hmm.
So is that addressed in this resolution to change those bylaws to ED?
No, it isn't, Mike. We'll have to go through and I'll coordinate that with Amber and make sure that everything kind of syncs up.
Okay, perfect. So Joe, all you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Kastu, did you?
I apologize.
No, I didn't have anything. I agree with Lynn. In fact, from a principle standpoint, we wanted to look at it from the perspective that it agrees with the continuation of the organization. So nothing is dependent on the board, but it's dependent on the community itself. And from a structure standpoint, I think what Lynn you're alluding to is the staggered structure that allows for not only continuity in the community, but also continuity in the organization itself from management standpoint and administration. So that's how we think about it. It's really about the long-term perspective and not the short-term objectives. And in addition to what Mike said, I think we should also be thoughtful about the CFO title versus a finance organization.
Any other questions, concerns?
Just what would be helpful, just if you can kind of give us a real, like, so what are the positions right now in the structure that you're proposing for the board at this point? I mean, we're going to work through this, but that would be helpful just to articulate
Yeah, no.
structure.
And I would love for Lynn to chime in as well, but the way we see it is executive director should be the title for the person who represents ID outside and internal. And I don't think we have agreed on any nomenclature for this finance team or entity or person.
We've looked at that more as a potentially outside firm. So, again, there we haven't looked at what the structure should be. But from an internal perspective, the executive director, we feel, that is the continuity for the board. That is the person. But they report, and there is a very strong connection. You will see in our org chart that with the chair, that this person is representing the IDA and the board, and that they do it with full disclosure to the board about activities, who they're dealing with, who they're working with, so that it's not just an interaction between this individual and projects and the stakeholders, but also that it is with the chair, so as an extension of the board, so that there is a very strong tie. And we can't emphasize that enough. I think the way we even highlighted the structure and the document that everyone has shows that it is an integral role. So there has to be, a strong relationship there.
And also the communication lines are such that they're not just to the board, as we say, but also to the companies, with other working groups. Not only just the community itself, but more about the continuity as we were talking about. How does that permeate through? Now, from a finance role standpoint, I'll speak in just a minute, maybe, but the executive director, I do want to point out that title is more consistent with what other agencies have as well. So we did think through, and Lynn did actually more so thinking about that. What is the correct title, and is that actually consistent with other counties and even other non-for-profit organizations? For finance role, we do believe, I do appreciate the current structure that we have. I think there's a lot of good work being done. If we can continue that, that'll be a better outcome. Not to guide anyone towards anything yet. However, having said that, I think it does require a team. So we need to make sure that team is well done.
Work together. I mean, the interplay with all of that is critical to the success.
And for the administrative piece?
Well, not only the administrative, but also the finance role has to interact with not just the chair of the board, but also the committees as well. Especially the committee responsibility there is quite partitioned, actually. And administrative, again, I don't have an opinion. I don't know if you do, but
A recommendation.
That's a loaded question.
Like a recommendation.
I always have an opinion.
I have an opinion too.
I was
Yes,
gonna say, let's make
recommendation
this a
would be appropriate. And I was shying from recommendation because we don't have a recommendation just yet, but an inkling.
Well, I actually do have a
Please.
recommendation, only because I was tasked with looking at the agent, at the staffing when, we were in a state of flux. So I continued looking at that. I met with a candidate who I thought could be, an interesting addition on the administrative side. And given the fact that we have a contract, I don't think it's a bad thing to consider, and I would ask the board to think about this, to consider hiring the administrative person now, so that we're giving support to the current contract, we're giving support to the chair who's been taking on a lot, and we're also getting a sense through the agency, is this a role, how does this role work? So it's a way of kind of testing out some of the concepts we put together in the organization design and finding out if this person could be a member of the team.
No, I agree. In fact, I think it also allows and helps through the transition, if there is a transition. And I would like to lastly say one thing, that we need to be mindful of how we decide on these things to make sure that people are attracted to do this job, if you may, or the opportunity, or whatever the position is.
I just think there's a lot of, we're gonna have to do some work here, okay? To jump right into that, all right? And then we have to ask what happens to our current administration. admin. How do we handle that? How do we coordinate that? We have to make sure that admin is staffed. We've got to see if they, you guys know the journey.
Yeah.
So it's not.
But I don't think it's a bad thing to look at the administrative assistant, because I think that position can be extremely helpful, even with our current relationship, with understanding how to put a board package together, with understanding of how to run a meeting online, with an understanding of even getting a Facebook. I mean, I think some of the things that we've already identified as roles of an administrative person, which is being shared right now, it's not a bad idea to bring somebody on board we think may have potential and test it out and see what's working, what's not working, and how it goes, so that we're not at the 11th hour then trying to figure out what's the best, what's best. And it's not ruling out anything. We would be hiring this contract person through an agency. They're not a full-time employee here, but it's a way of testing out some of the things we're proposing to ensure success.
Okay.
And Mike, we can discuss this in guidance committee as well, but to me, I think that is actually the key point, because that's continuity. Because that's the person who's going to know pretty much all the functions of the organization, along with the ED. So as long as
ED I see as more relationship
That's right.
building, and this is more the guts of
That's
the
right.
operation.
So
This
the
is the person
whoever does-
helping to make things move.
Right. As someone who's been, working closely with our staff, kind of almost in an ED role at this point, I will say, the external facing is really important, good communication skills. But you also have to understand the weeds.
That's right.
And you don't need to go into the weeds, but you got to understand them
Or
and
have
know where
someone
they
who
are.
could be.
And you
But
have to
somebody,
have the
but
right
that's,
person.
but to me, that's the administrative, who really can get into the weeds and advise the executive director and the board accordingly. Because it's a complex entity that we have here, and it's amazing how much has to be paid attention to.
And you need somebody with sound judgment.
Yes.
Because
So I'm hearing everything that this person is expecting, and I'm not sure the title matches. From what I'm hearing, you're saying this person is basically is the operational person. So it seems more like the title should be operations manager, and I don't know, just from what you're describing, how integral this person is to the agency. And when I hear administrative, I really do hear administrative assistant and someone who isn't as, I don't know if it's integral, but integral as you're describing. So
That's an excellent point, and it's something that I think by bringing this on and seeing how this plays out, can help us to better refine what we initially started with. This was kind of our initial intent, and then I see this as experience with, the resources we've been working with of refining this as we go. So that's an excellent point. I think we started out there as a way of, ensuring we were getting the paper in the right places and moving things, but it could easily evolve into something that is more towards what you're referencing. So, but again, we're that's why I'm thinking bring this person on now and work through that, find out what's working, what's not working. If you got the right person, they could be a part of helping to build the right thing.
and do you have a salary, like your book that attached to this, this position?
I think that's something we were
That's
going to
something we
talk in
should
the next
discuss,
committee
yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other I like the thinking because we have some flex here, right? And the good thing is that we have, today we can approve this resolution. What that allows us to do then is to go out and, start to actually actively look for people, continue conversations with organizations that we're working with, and really understand how we're going to move forward. And it'll help us because, we're with our current contract, it expires in February, but one of the, so it's going to take time, right? We want to find the right people, and that always takes time. And the other thing is that, fortunately, with our current contract, there is transition that's baked into our current contract, so we have some transition period. We want to be able to maximize that.
Because it's in the contract
Because it's in the
period,
actual
it's not
contract.
after the contract.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think the timing of this is great, and I want to thank the governance committee and everybody on their great work on this. The other piece of this, just to throw it out and put in everyone's head, depending on what we do, we also have some things we need to consider around spacing, right, and office space. So I know we've talked about that before, but I'll plant that seed as well, because it's all related to what we're doing and how we do it. So I just want to share that.
So, Joe, with that, can you go over the resolution, please?
Will do, Michael. The resolution is on page 19 of your packet, and as part of all the materials was distributed in advance of the meeting. The resolution, the meat of the resolution is on page 20, in sections 1, 2, 3, where it approves the organizational structure, directs senior management to take steps to implement, and then section 3 indicates the resolution takes effect immediately. With that, I'll open up any comments or questions. Actually, the one other point I'll make is you'll note that in the second whereas paragraph up at the top on page 20, we did reference the governance committee, and that just shows good practice where you have the governance committee or committee structure is active, robust, and discuss these items, reviews them, finalize them, and then send it to the full board for consideration. So we have that as a track record, if you will, or a file for your records. And that'll open up any comments or questions.
I don't have any comments. I do want to stress what the chair mentioned, that we should think very quickly about moving forward on this, because we do need to implement roles and designation requirements. We do have a place for inflection.
Well, as noted in the resolution, it takes effect immediately, so, you know, we'll be in good shape.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to accept the resolution approving the organizational design? Second?
Second.
We need to do a roll call. Lynn Archer.
Yes.
Steve Kelly, absent with notice. Mike Camp.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes,
Sheeta.
yes, with the understanding that the administrative title will work over time.
Austin. Diane, I know. Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone. Anything else, Chad?
One last thing, and this is for governance. So, you know, Lynn has brought this up in the past. This is a living, breathing resolution, you know, and we just adopted. So it's subject to change, you know, and amended. Anybody has stuff that we're working through this. There's always good points that come in, okay? So don't hesitate to let anybody know what you're thinking. One other thing for governance, Chair, is now that we're through this organizational, we have the revolving door that we push through. The big focus in governance is going to come to housing. And housing is back on the, you know, not that it's, you know, housing is coming back in, and we'll be diving right into that the next governance meeting.
I appreciate that.
And that's my report, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to old business, status of pending projects. I'll turn that over to Joe.
Thank you, Chair. You direct you to page 28 of the materials, where we have our pending transaction list. We have 3 projects listed. No changes have taken place with any of those projects since the last meeting. The current status is outlined in the third column, and with that, I'll open up for any comments or questions.
So, Joe, I'd like to just say, this is the estimate IDA admin fees. I like the way you line that up now.
And that was in response to a board member request, Michael, and happy to do that.
Any other questions, comments?
I've got one thing going back to the organizational. Now that that's approved, okay, is this going to be, will that be posted on the website, the organizational structure plan? Yeah.
It should be as part of the meeting packet.
Okay.
We should remove any
I know
draft forms.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, would you maybe remove draft working document on that and repost? Now that's passed. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Joe. Any new business? No new business. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. Take a 2-minute break before we move into the CRC meeting. All righty. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Ulster County Capital Resource Corporation meeting, October 19th. I would like to call it to order, and then we will start with a roll call. Lynn? Here. Mike?
Here.
Stephen? Absent. Notice. Rashida? Rachel? Here. Astu?
Here.
And I'm here. Okay, great. If you could look on page 3 of your meeting packet, takes a few minutes to look at the minutes from our September 21st meeting, and when somebody is ready, make a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I was amiss. I did not read the mission statement of Ulster County Resource Corporation, and that is to promote community economic development in Ulster County in ways that complement the work of Ulster County, primarily through issuing and selling of bonds for nonprofit institutions. All right, back on track with the agenda. Public comment on agenda items only. No? Okay. I'd like to now move to financials, accounting, and administrative update. Amber, anything?
The update for the CRC is that financial statements should be available for presentation at the next regular meeting. I'm recommending that the board consider adopting a related party agreement with the IDA for reimbursement of administrative and shared expenses such as the website, insurance, etc. And the 2023 budget draft is available. That's it.
Yes, Lynn. Could you just highlight for us on the operating revenues, the increase over and even projected from previous and for the current year? Can you just explain what that is?
For the investment earnings?
Well, it says operating revenues and 72 for
Charges for service.
operating charges for services.
Your operating revenues.
Yeah, every other year. Yeah, I mean
It's 32.
The 72,000
Yes.
is the current year's estimated ending value. So there's a revenue recorded for the receipt of, I can't remember the customer's name, but I can send it to the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was for a fee that gets that's not clear.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check. To be honest, I mean, not to be honest. I'm always honest, sorry.
Thank you for that point of
That's a
clarification.
vocalized pause.
We never doubted it, Joe. Never.
I would, the CRC has not been extraordinarily active, so I need to look back to see what that is. And I can do that.
Thank you.
And can I assume grants and donations? Can I assume grants and donations are from the IDA to the CRC?
Yeah. Grants and donations were CRC to the People's Place in, the grants and donations was $110,000 to the People's Place and surrounding food pantries. To offset it with the gift cards.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, so that was COVID related assistance. Got it.
Let's do it.
I was just going to make a suggestion. I was thinking about that number as well. It might be a beneficial way of showing that I would simply and I would just.
I can absolutely do that for the presentation of the financial statements. So the layout here presented for the budget is what's required for ABO submission. But when I do the financial statements, I can actually break out that entire revenue line so that you can see each and everything that goes in there.
That would be helpful. Yeah.
we need a resolution to accept this draft budget, but I would also make note, we also are asking for clarification on $72,000 budget. Motion,
I'll make a motion to accept that.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Chair's report, nothing additional to report than what was discussed and shared in the IDA meeting. There is no old business, there is no new business. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
Plain water, so good.
Excuse me.
Joe, do we need to go through the two resolutions for the CRC? It's only to the IDA.
I was actually thinking the same thing as I looked at this agenda.
Yeah,
Why don't we
thank
put that on the agenda? Because I'll actually have written resolutions for you at the next meeting. Or you can do them verbally now and I'll put them.
Why don't we do
I would
that?
suggest verbally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good catch, thank you
And
everyone.
do we,
All right, so there was an error on our agenda. I just want to note that on the two policies, resolutions that we adopted during IDA. So can I have a motion that the CRC accept the resolutions that were passed during the IDA meeting?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call vote, right?
yes.
On the revolving door resolution first. Chair?
Correct, revolving door. So Lynn?
yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rashida?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Astu?
Yes.
Diane, yes, and Steve Kelly is absent with notice. All right, and then, also, yeah, and also now roll call on the organizational design plan. Lynn? Yes. Mike?
Yes.
Rashida?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Astu?
Yes.
Steve Kelly is absent with notice, and Diane, yes.
Sorry, just for information, could you tell me who moved it and seconded these two? I don't know. I'm on that.
I moved it
Okay.
on the one.
Hang on.
I think Rashida should.
Oh, she was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good?
Great.
All right, thanks.
I could do it like we used to do, just call an email.
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Good meeting.
And even with the, like,
Really,
That's how he sucks you in.